Hello everybody and welcome to a Deck Tech on the Constructed Criticism YouTube channel. I am Spencer, host of Constructed Criticism and Limited Time Only, two podcasts about getting better at Magic the Gathering. Today we are talking about a deck that I am very excited to talk about. It's actually a deck that we've gotten quite a few requests to talk about already. When I mentioned Temur Emerge or Emerge strategies in my week 1 predictions video, a lot of people really wanted to see what that could possibly look like. So I'm doing a video on just my deck list on what I've tested so far. This is actually a deck that I literally played just yesterday at a Winbox tournament, and I'm pretty happy with where the deck is at. And I'll kind of go over the main deck and talk about the cards. Then we'll go over the sideboard. We'll do another short video. We've gotten a lot of great feedback. People love the shorter, more to the point deck techs. So let's start right with the main deck. We have 4 Elder Deep-Fiend, 1 Ishkanah Grafwidow, 2 Pilgrim's Eye, 4 Rogue Refiner, 4 Servant of the Conduit, 2 Wretched Gryff, 4 Vessel of Nascency, sorry about that, 4 Grapple with the Past, 3 Harness Lightning, 2 Kozilek's Return, 1 Kiora, 2 Nissa Vital Force, 4 Traverse the Ulvenwald. We have 23 lands in the form of 4 Aether Hub, 4 Botanical Sanctum, 4 Evolving Wilds, 4 Forests, 2 Islands, 1 Mountain, and 4 Sanctum of Ugin. Now, one of the biggest things that our team was worrying about when we were starting on this deck for the Pro Tour was, in fact, we wondered, can you win long games without Emrakul? How do you replace Emrakul? And it was a pretty big question, right? I mean, the deck before would bridge you out with Elder Deep-Fiends, with 3 of them, tap you down until it could play Emrakul and end the game. And that was the main way that this deck was played, months and months and months ago. Even at the last Pro Tour, we had one of our team members who played Temur Emerge. He did day 2 with the deck, and he had Emrakul in his deck. It was a huge part of the strategy. So how do you replace that? How do you replace the staying power of Emrakul? And what I found, not just in this deck, but in a lot of decks, is Nissa Vital Force does a huge part in replacing that power. And you can really just loop things, loop Elder Deep-Fiends through Nissa, and really pack that final punch with Nissa as well. And her being able to get back any permanent has been really great and really powerful, all while also being able to untap a land and just deal them 5. And having a final push that this deck sometimes could lack, that Emrakul really helps serve, and Nissa does a great job of that. You'll also notice the 4 Sanctum of Ugin. This card's pretty important. It's actually one of the first pieces of feedback that I got was, do you need Wretched Gryff? And the thing is, in the main deck, you do need the 2 Wretched Gryffs. And that's for a few reasons. You want as many things to both trigger Kozilek's Return and Sanctum of Ugin as possible to get you your Elder Deep-Fiends as well. And the thing is oftentimes what you'll do is you'll Wretched Gryff something and have just enough mana left over to then next turn Elder Deep-Fiend them. So having Wretched Gryff as one of the things that you can sacrifice just so that Elder Deep-Fiend costs 2 blue, all while gaining value from it, is going to be really important. One of the newest pickups for the deck, or newest additions as well, is Rogue Refiner. Before in the deck, we were playing Aether Hub still, and what we ended up having to do was kind of some weird stuff to make Aether Hub playable in the deck. One of the main benefits of doing it is we were able to play we did play a main deck waste over the 4th Sanctum of Ugin, and you could still do that, by the way, if you wanted to play Thought-Knot Seer, Post Board, and Matter Reshapers, you could do that. But what happened with the new set is you got Rogue Refiner. And what Rogue Refiner ends up doing for the deck itself is it makes it so the Aether Hub is this constant flowing land when you need it to be. And that Harness Lightnings are Doomblades in this deck, which is really good when you think about the Saheeli combo. It's this thing that you can be doing to interact with the Saheeli combo in the main deck. And so, one of the things that you have here is you have Elder Deep-Fiends to tap them out to keep them off the combo, and Harness Lightnings to keep them off the combo, as well as putting Kozilek's Returns in your graveyard and then flashing in an Elder Deep-Fiend. You have not tons, but you have enough ways to interact with the combo. And then you have big pushes of damage with things like Nissa to pressure them. Rogue Refiner, being basically being able to have enough early plays, and also be able to interact with them is kind of the combination that you want against something like the Saheeli combo. And then this deck obviously just has a great matchup against the green-black decks, which is one of the major decks also. But Rogue Refiner is a pretty big deal because it does almost everything that you liked out of both Matter Reshaper and Filigree Familiar if you had played this deck in the last season. And that's good. It literally is doing everything you want and more. Like, you get to draw the card right away, and you get energy to feed your lands to make your Aether Hubs much, much better. So, overall, I would say that Rogue Refiner was a huge gain for the deck. Let's go on to the sideboard. So we have 1 Lashweed Lurker, 3 Tireless Trackers, 1 Ceremonious Rejection, the last 2 Kozilek returns, 2 Negates, 4 Shocks, and 1 Kiora Master of Depths, and the 3rd Nissa. So, a few things on the sideboard. I am not sure how to build this sideboard yet. This is the sideboard that I currently have. I could see you wanting things like Tears of Valakut. I could see you wanting less Shocks. I could see you wanting more Ceremonious Rejection, depending on how the metagame goes. It really just depends right now on how things shape out. We're in week 1. The things that we do know is Liliana historically is a problem for the deck in a weird way. That weird way is you can't pressure her very well. Your creatures don't pressure Liliana in a meaningful way when you think about them. Rogue Refiner can only attack her for 1. Servant can attack her for 0 because, they're targeting this card. And because of that, Liliana can ult very easily against the deck. So Lashweed Lurker actually comes in to just put Liliana back on top and reset her ultimate. Now, you might think that's weird. Can't you just Elder Deep-Fiend? And you can. The thing is that you have to be able to attack with the Elder Deep-Fiend, and by that time they have murder mana. They can do different things. But the Lashweed Lurkers just automatically put it back on top. And you can also block your opponent out with different things. I was playing against a Aetherworks Marvel deck. I brought this in against that just to help me, have some kind of answer for Ulamog. As once they do it, you can then put Ulamog back on top of their deck. They aren't going to be able to cast it, which is really helpful. The 4 Shocks is something that aggressive decks are a real thing at the beginning of the format, and it also stops the Healer combo. So that's where we're at with those. The main things that I want to touch on are the Planeswalkers. Both of these Planeswalkers fit really well into the deck. Kiora, Master of Deaths, getting you a creature in land while filling your graveyard for things like your Grapple with the Pasts and your Ishkanahs. It's really important. And for your Traverse the Ulvenwalds. You can have a Traverse in your hand, not have Delirium, and Kiora can automatically fix that for you. So it's a pretty big deal. So with all of those things looked at, I think that this is a good deck going in right now. Now, things can change, right? If something like Flash comes out again that just really has a great way of interacting with you, or let's say even worse than that, let's say that because of the popularity of the Saheeli combo, that people just start playing 4 main deck Shocks. That actually would be pretty rough for this deck. There are things that you can do to help with that. You don't have to be playing Servant of the Conduit, right? You could play the 1/3 ramp creature. I think it's Druid of the Cowl. That would help you bridge into Elder Deep-Fiend, still let you cast things a turn earlier. It would ramp you the way that you like Servant to do. And then obviously you could play, Rogue Refiner already recoups a lot of the problems with Shock, but it would be a pretty big problem if that was adopted for this card specifically. So that's it for this week on this deck tech. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you have any questions about the deck. I am always happy to answer questions. I try to get into as many of the YouTube comments as possible. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Check out our podcast every week on mtgcast.com and constructivecriticism.com. You can support this content by going to patreon.com/ccmtg and become a patron of the show. Starting at $1 per month or more, anything that you see fit is great, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you guys all next week.